Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, Wheel of Fate is finally here, and it is hard piece content. A lot of people will absolutely hate it, and I get it. So far, I don't, but it is quite long. The first quest took me about 3 hours, and it felt like it. Some of the fights there last more than 10 minutes, some of the fights that are very, very long and nasty. Right, so this isn't a guide nor a full breakdown of my run. We'll do a full breakdown of my run in a separate video, and there is a guide coming. Yes, there is a spreadsheet, thanks to Lord Jerkface, who's been working on it diligently, and he's absolutely awesome. So, overall, what I think about it. Again, I think it is an endgame piece of content. It is like much rougher version of the Crucible. I don't like how Kabam landed this piece of content though, because this is a type of content where you need to plan out just about every single fight before you go in, because you do not want to use a champion you will need elsewhere, and the tags for each fight are different. Like one fight's going to be size M metal, then it's going to be, 7-star 2021, and then it's going to be control denial, so on and so forth. So the tags are different for every fight, and they do overlap. And like in my case, I realized that after I had done the second fight, that for instance, I used Deathless She-Hulk for the Gore fight, and I would much rather have it for the Spiral fight. In fact, I hardly had any good counter for Spiral fight. I ended up doing it with Red Skull. Definitely not an easy fight, with Red Skull. I ended up using like 2 revives for it. But, it worked out okay. But it's definitely a type of content where you 100% want to prepare for it. You need to prepare for it. You need to know exactly what you're doing. You can't just wing it, because you can easily get stuck or, throw a whole bunch of revives down the drain. But, I went in blind. I kind of figured it out as I go along, and, eventually it worked out. But again, for you guys, there will be guides and tools available. Just be a little bit patient. You need to get all the content out. And yeah, the Defenders being like 2 million plus health, it's not like the biggest health pool, but it's definitely not small either, especially since you're having so many limiting factors and you're having to use a lot of lower ranked champions. Because I definitely ended up using, 7-star rank 2 Iron Man Infinity War for Lady Deathstrike, for instance. And then I used the rank 2 Black Cat for Thor Ragnarok, which was actually the worst fight for me, because it's either AI or animations or how it happened, but I was struggling to intercept so badly there. He intercepted me much more than I intercepted him, and it felt quite wrong. I used rank 2 Vox for the Arcade, and then I think the rest of the fights I used fairly well ranked up champions. But yeah, so I definitely used a whole bunch of 7-star rank 2s as well. Well, in total, I used under 10 revives, most of whom actually went to that Thor Ragnarok fight. But yeah, I think I used 1 on Dazzler because I made a silly mistake, 1 on Enchantress, few on Thor Ragnarok, that was solo, 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 that was solo. Couple revives on Spiral, again because I didn't have Deathless She-Hulk mainly, and I initially didn't know exactly how to do that fight. And then the rest are solos. So most of the fights are in the quest 1 at the very least are soloable. Which is also important that other quests have exactly the same fights with exactly the same nodes. The only things that differ are the tags. For instance, this first tag here is 2024 champions in the first quest. And in the second quest, one second, it's going to be entirely different set of tags for every single fight. The second quest is size M defensive utility. So, and that's entirely the point, because in the first quest against Gore, we had quite few options. You could choose and pick. I'm going to show here. So in the first quest, when I'm previewing it, from the 2024 champions, one second, let's just do it from Conchuzank. From 2024 champions, there are options for sure. For that Gore, tried using Kata initially. It was not a good idea. You couldn't out damage that. But I'm sure that you could. Oh no, it's bleed immune as well. So you know, with enough debuffs, like, you know, theoretically, I think potentially maybe Arcade can do it, but Count Nefaria definitely can do it. If mine was ranked and Awakened, I could have potentially used Count Nefaria for that. In fact, that's one of the recommendations. Because of bleed immunity, White Tiger actually doesn't work. You know, in theory, Spiral could be used, but she's probably better off elsewhere. Deathless She-Hulk, again, obviously, is what I used and which I kind of regret. You know, even Deathless King Groot, you know, you get 10 debuffs on and that regen's virtually non-existent. Or anybody, you know, anybody that deals the regen. There are, at the very least, you know, a handful of options. But then, when you have to go to the second quest, there's like one option. So let's check out the second quest, and there's going to be very, very few options. So it's going to be incredibly roster demanding, to a point where if you do not have a single champion, you know, it might cost you many revives. So size M, defensive utility. Let's check out size M, defensive utility. Let's add the tags. It's going to be immediately, there's like one option, which is Wong. Size M, defensive utility, all selected tags. Right. So he's bleed immune. Right. So, you know, no nick immediately. Can't out damage that regen because regen is going to be massive. And yeah. Not much. It's just the Wong. It really is just the Wong that will work there. And that's actually fascinating because they did it at the beginning with the Gore, because Gore is a roadblock type fight. Because if you can't, you know, deal with the regen, you're just never going to be able to do that fight. So it is quite nasty from them. So if you don't have 7-star Wong, quite a bit out of luck here. But yeah, I don't know about every single fight in Quest 2 yet. Obviously, I haven't done it, but it's going to be incredibly roster restricted. So overall, my personal thoughts on this quest so far, I don't hate it. I can't say I particularly loved it or enjoyed it because of the nature of the fights, because a lot of them are tedious. Again, I think one of the worst ones was this Lady Deathstrike, where we have adaptive power shield, where you basically do no damage outside of your special attacks. Then every 15 seconds you get power drained unless you're using a special attack or dashing backwards. Can't parry her a lot. And also, whenever you gain the power, you are special lock for 3 seconds, so you can't like immediately throw those specials. It's just a very, very long fight, because obviously, you know, Lady Deathstrike regens most of the damage on special attacks, or, you know, goes unstoppable during those special attacks. And between the options that we have for this fight, not like fantastic. There's nothing that like destroys her that you typically use. I think Barrowman used Guardian and level 3s exclusively. I heard somebody is using like Prowler. I heard that somebody used Vox and special 3s only, but I kind of saved that for Arcade. And I think somebody used Nova, which, you know, more or less straightforward fight, but again, it's very, very long. I ended up using my Iron Man Infinity War, and it was like 17 minutes. Okay, he's rank 2, but still. And, you know, it was quite rough going. So that was like a very long fight, and you know, obviously, Sinister for Bullseye, that was perfectly fine. Then it's fine. Who else was quite long? Obviously, Thanos was also like 12-minute fight, because in between unblockable special attacks, combat deja vu weakness, and swipe left, the other left, where your controls get constantly reversed and reversed back, it was a, you know, very, very slow fight. So it's one of those quests where there are definitely some very tedious fights. And from my personal perspective, I wasn't in love with it. I don't hate it so far. This is kind of like a hardcore shock therapy session of Eternity of Pain fights. Like, because every fight here is effectively Eternity of Pain fight. Because, you know, there's a massive health pool, there are fairly rough defenders, you have limited options you can use. It's kind of like doing a rapid fire test of EOP fights, which in concept is fine for me. You know, again, some individual fights I wish wouldn't be there, especially the ones that take forever. But overall, you know, it's fine. For the total amount of rewards as well, like if we end up doing this like 10 hours to complete it of gameplay time, I think, you know, rank 4 7-star, I do think is worth it, as well as me having opportunity to do, let's say, Dazzler, which I really do want. Yeah, so, you know, obviously I'm going to do it. I'm going to be quite happy to do it, all the rank materials, everything else. Do I think majority of the players will? No. Like, this isn't the type of thing that was like with Necropolis, where I think, you know, most people can get in it. It's fairly straightforward. You know, you do the job, get things. I think a lot of people will absolutely hate this. And the reason for it is because this piece of content will make a ton of people realize exactly, you know, when you're missing like 1 or 2 champions, you're kind of screwed. And it's gonna have that feeling of like, oh, my account's like not good enough. And it's gonna be quite rough, I think. Because again, like for instance, if you don't have 7-star Void, I genuinely don't know how you do quest 2. So if you don't have 7-star Wong, sorry. If you do not have 7-star Wong, I don't know how you do the quest. So again, so add tags, so it was size M, and was it defensive utility? Leave. You can go with that. No, wait, that was not defensive utility. Oh, wait, add tags. There you go. Yes, it was defensive utility. So again, aside from Wong, everybody more will not be able to do that region. Nick Fury, well, he's bleeding me, so it's not happening. Bot, absolute no-no. Killmonger, well, no and bleed immune. Adam Warlock, no way he can out-damage that. Moondragon has to have a ton of debuffs. Maybe it can work, but highly doubt it. Mr. Negative, maybe? I mean, Mr. Negative could be an option too with the Petrifies. I do think it would be quite hard fight though. Like, very nasty fight with plenty of revives. So yeah, if you don't have Mr. Negative sense, you can't do this. Because again, with Vision, you know, I don't think he could stop the region completely at all. Blade, that's bleed immunity, Nightcrawler, and Deadpool, there's nothing for it. So there's Mr. Negative and Wong. You don't have these sense that you can't complete this content. And that fundamentally, I can accept the idea if you don't have one of these champions, you have to use 10 extra revives. It is much harder to accept the idea if you don't have one of these 2 champions. Kick rocks, go home, and come back when you do. And that's a completely different message. And there. So, like, again, from my personal perspective, you know, so far I had decently good time. I'm okay with it. I don't think most of the MCOC will, though. But there. Not even most of the MCOC community. Most of the people who should be at the progression level to be able to attempt this. So, anyways. Let me know what you guys think, if you have already tried it out. If not, then stay tuned. As I said, I will break down my run in the next video, where I'm going to explain exactly what I did, what I would do differently, and then there will be more detailed guides coming with some other potential options, for example. So, again, we're obviously going to be doing that quest by quest, because each quest is completely different. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next